Good morning, students. Good morning, viewers. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And this time we are going to discuss earthquake, focus, intensity, magnitude, active, and inactive faults. By yours truly, this is Sir Dante. Let us recall our past lesson, which is earthquakes. So we have terms to remember. The first one is faults. A fault is a break in the Earth's crust along which significant movement has taken place. And this is an example of a fault. Say, for instance, this is a big city, and as you will see, we have a crack within the city. That crack is called a fault. Okay? So, how do faults produce quakes? Actually, energy from inside the earth make the ground move. There is no movement friction right away because of the friction. Friction held the rocks together. Once the friction is overcome, the ground will move and the earthquake will occur. So every time a fault slips or moves, the earth quakes. So what are the types of fault? We have three types of fault. The first one is normal fault. So when we say normal fault, when the hanging wall drops relative to the footwall. Say for instance, this is the hanging wall, this is the footwall. So when the hanging wall drops relative to the footwall, this is called the normal fault. Okay. The second one is the reverse fault. When the hanging wall goes up relative to the footwall. So this is the hanging wall, this is the footwall. So the hanging wall goes up. So reverse fault ang tawag po dyan. Okay, reverse fault. And we have strike slip fault. When the two blocks slip past one another. So para po siya nag-slide. Sliding one another. There are two blocks sliding each other. Okay? So those are the types of fault. What are the types of earthquakes? Actually, we have two types of earthquakes. Number one is tectonic. Tectonic, this is a sudden displacements along faults in the solid and rigid layers of the earth. Okay? So tectonic, there are sudden displacement along the fault. And we have the second one, the volcanic. Earthquakes induced by rising magma beneath active volcanoes. So it is self-explanatory when we say volcanic. There is a volcano's eruption. Okay? Volcano eruption nangyayari. So how strong is the earthquake? An earthquake may be described in two ways. Actually, this is our main topic for this day. So the first one is intensity, and the second one is magnitude. So these are the two ways to describe how an earthquake is can be determined in terms of damage, or what do you call this, the effect. Okay, so the first one is intensity, effects on people or surroundings. So what is uh, how do you describe this intensity? So this is actually an actual effect. Say for instance, the total damage of the building, the total damage of the properties within the environment. Yeah. When we say magnitude, this is the energy released. So magnitude. Nag-uumpisa po ito doon sa ilalim po ng ground natin. So the intensity of an earthquake gives us an idea of how strong or weak the shaking is. So because of intensity, we can easily determine the percentage of damage or the damages within the area. Okay, so let's proceed. What is the difference between intensity and magnitude? Right, so we have the characteristics, the first column. The second column, we have the magnitude. In the third column, we have the intensity or intensity. Okay, let's talk about the definition. The definition of magnitude is a measure of the size of an earthquake, right? And The definition of intensity, this is a measure of how bad the shaking is in an earthquake. Right. So, yan po ang pagkaiba in terms of definition. And we have how it is measured. Magnitude, measuring the greatest amplitude of the shear waves, how much a fault has been displaced. Okay, in terms of fault, displacement of fault, yun po ang measurement, the magnitude. When we say intensity, this is measuring how much damage has occurred and how much shaking people feel. Yeah. Dito mismo sa intensity, the people can assume or can estimate how many percent is the damage within the area. Okay? And we have earliest scale. Sa magnitude, ang ginagamit po is Richter in 1935. Sa intensity, Rose Forel in 19th century. Right? What the measurement is based on. Sa magnitude, maximum movement or displacement of the fault. Ang sinusukat po yung fault na, yung displacement or movement ng fault. Sa intensity naman, is ang sinusukat po is extent and type of damage. So, in terms of scales of measurement, in magnitude, Richter scale or local magnitude and moment magnitude. So, intensity, Rossi Farrell, modified Mercalli European macroseismic. And so, objectives naman or objectivity, in magnitude, more objective of a measure of the energy of an earthquake. I mean, measure po sa magnitude is the energy of the earthquake. While in intensity, more objectives or more subjective of a measure of the destructive power of an earthquake. So yun po ang pagkaiba dalawa. Dito sa magnitude, ang mini-measure is, the objective is to measure the energy of an earthquake. Sa intensity, ang objective is to measure the destructive power of an earthquake. Right? Magnitude, again, amount of energy released by an earthquake. And we have the Richter scale. This is the scale using and in magnitude. And it is developed by Charles Richter to indicate magnitude of an earthquake. On the Richter scale, magnitude expressed in whole numbers and decimal fractions. Although the Richter scale has no upper limit, the largest earthquake ever recorded was in 1960 in Chile. It measured 9.5 on the Richter scale. What is the difference or what are the differences of magnitude versus intensity? Right? So magnitude measures the energy released at the source of the earthquake. And in intensity measures the strength of shaking produced by the earthquake at a certain location. And in magnitude again, determined from measurement of seismographs. In intensity, determined from effects of people, human structure, and natural environment. Right. So, yun po pagkakaiba dalawa. Magnitude, ang ginagamit po. Ang measurement ay nakikita doon sa seismograph. Ito po yung instrument na ginagamit po. So, this naman, determined from the effects of the people, human structures, and natural environment. So, this is realistic dito po sa intensity. Kasi, maski yung mga residents, yung mga tao po, pwede po makita ang destruction. Right? And, focus versus epicenter. The focus is the actual point of rock breakage or movement. The focus is usually located far below the surface of the earth, while the epicenter is the point on the surface of the earth directly above the focus. Dito po sa picture, napapansin niyo po, doon po sa below the surface of the earth, dito po yung focus, dito po nagsisimula yung earthquake. And dito po nagsisimula yung tinatawag na fault. Yan po nangyayari. Nagkaroon po siya ng crack papunta sa surface of the Earth. Ang tawag po doon ay fault. Okay? Tapos, on the surface of the Earth, okay, above the focus is called the epicenter. Alright? Yun po ang pagkakaiba. Ito pong mga circle na to, this is the seismic wave. Okay, seismic wave. So, ito yung clear picture. This is the focus. Dito po nagsimula yung crack, which is the faults, diba? Or fault. Tapos, meron siyang mga wave. Pag nagkaroon po siya ng seismic wave, nagkaroon po yan ng vibration. Pag nagkaroon ng vibration, nagkaroon po siya ng shaking of the ground. Yan. Doon po sa taas na yon, na-direct yung fault, posibleng na doon po yung epicenter kasi mismong tapat po niya ng focus. Alright? So, focus and epicenter, anong pagkakaiba? So, it's the place where the first break happens, where the fault starts to sleep, where first movement takes place. It is the starting point of the earthquake. Tama yon. The focus is the starting point of the earthquake. And epicenter, it is the spot directly above the focus on the surface of the Earth. Yan, doon po siya sa taas, on the surface of the Earth, na nakatapat po sa focus sa baba. Okay? Let's talk about active fault and inactive fault. Ano pa kayo dalawa? Active fault are structure along which we expect displacement to occur. Since a shallow earthquake is a process that produces displacement across the fault, all shallow earthquakes occur on active faults. Yan po. And inactive faults are structured that we can identify but which do not have earthquakes. In other words, ang pagkaiba po ng dalawa or pagkaiba ng dalawa is yung active fault po, yan po yung fault na basihan para po posibleng nagkaroon po ng earthquake o magkaroon po ng earth kasi pwede po yun bumuka yung faults na yon. Pero yung active fault po dito, may napapansin po tayo dyan sa mga ground natin or sa sa mga rocks na may mga crack, pero hindi po siya active. Nangulugan, hindi siya posibleng dahilan ng pagkakaroon ng earthquake. Ito pong active fault or active fault po ang pinakabasihan natin para po posibleng magkaroon ng earthquake doon on the certain location. Okay? Nakuha nyo? Gets nyo? Right? So, in other words, inactive faults are structure that we can identify, nakikita natin, but hindi po siya nagpo-produce ng earthquake. Yung active fault lang. So, what is an active fault? A fault is defined as an active fault when it has moved within the last 10,000 years or Holocene period. What are the bases of movement? Number 1, historical and contemporary seismicity or earthquake activity. Right? Number 2, fault sleep or displacement. Based on displaced rock or soil units of known age or paleoseismology. And number 3, displaced landforms or active fault geomorphology. Yan po yung basis ng movement. Okay? So, yun po pagkaiba ng active at inactive fault. Diba? So, in other words, active fault po, yun po yung basis, yun po yung fault na pwedeng mag-produce po ng earthquake. Okay? Right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And don't forget to tell other students to watch this movie. Watch this YouTube channel. Alright? This topic. Bye.